Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning, I should say, and happy start to an amazing week. And welcome to Connections Online Studio and to our live chat. I'm Nat, Connections Director of Communications and Outreach. And this morning, I am thrilled to welcome Quelen Farias to our Connections Online Studio. Welcome, Quelen.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
So just a quick bit about Quelen, just to say that since 2013, Quelen has practiced in the orthopedics, geriatric, and pelvic health fields. Her interest in pelvic health started in university, and in 2017, she has happily practiced this field exclusively. Throughout the years, Quelen has completed extensive training in pelvic rehabilitation, covering several aspects of pelvic health, including prenatal care, postpartum health and return to fitness, bladder and bowel health, sexual health, and complex pelvic pain. So this morning, Quelen and I will be chatting about periods and pelvic health. So before we begin, I just wanted to say hi to everyone who's out there viewing us. I'm just going to quickly check to make sure. I forgot to check if our live was actually on. So let me just quickly go through here. Yes, it is. Okay, perfect. So please, everyone who's out there, make sure to introduce yourselves because we can't see you. Even if you have any questions, just type it quickly in the comments. Just a quick note that it might take a bit of time for the comment to come up. We might not see it right away because the stream lags a bit. So before we start our chat, sadly, I have to say that we are going to have to be careful of some of the terminology that we use. We were really excited about doing this chat about periods and pelvic health because it's such an important topic, not only because it's a taboo topic, but because people need to hear more about this. But sadly, Facebook will be a little picky with some of the terminology we use. So we'll be a little bit more careful about what we say. And just please make sure when you type in the comments to do the same because you don't want to get blocked from Facebook. I know it's really silly, but because Facebook, it's not actually people who check, right? The Facebook pages, it's actually AI. We have to be really careful because all they look for are keywords. So sadly, that's how it is. So Quelen, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Amazing. So quickly for anyone, Quelen actually joined us last week and did a workshop for our families for, well, when was it? It was on Thursday night, I think it was.
It was Wednesday.
Oh, was it Wednesday?
I think it was Wednesday.
Yes, you're right. It was Wednesday night to talk about periods and pelvic health. So yeah, I thought it would be nice to kind of do an overview of some of the stuff that you had discussed. And my first question, and I have a feeling this is a really popular question, is it normal to miss school or work when having your period?
That's a great question, right? And it is. I'm not sure if it is a common question, but I think it's just people assume maybe that it is normal or not normal, right? So maybe, I don't know if it, as a question, but it's just people have, they think it is normal or they think it is not normal. I think that maybe we can say that it is common for us to not feel so okay during our periods or things change, right? Because we may have ups and downs, maybe we have some PMS symptoms. So what I find is as long as the symptoms are mild and you can still do some simple things to manage them, and then you can still go on with your day and you're not missing school or work every single month because of the symptoms, then I think, yes, maybe you're not feeling so okay, but that's, you're not missing on things going on in your life, right? But the moment you're missing school or work every single month because of your period, or you're missing on other important things in your life because of your period, then I would say, no, this is not normal. Unfortunately, maybe more common than we would like to, but not normal, right? So common is one thing, normal is a different thing. So I like people to say, because in my practice, when I work with people around, let's say their early 20s, they're coming here and I'm talking to them about, their symptoms and when they started. I often hear this when they're coming to me for pain, for example, they say, oh, yes, I've been having insane painful periods since the beginning, since my first period. And I often missed school and missed work. And now I miss work because of it. So It's not fair if you think long term, every single month of my life, I have to stop my life for a few days, if you're lucky, or even an entire week because I don't feel well. So that's tricky. I remember having one patient, a young woman, she just finished university and she was offered this great job opportunity and she was thinking about saying no. And I asked her why. And she said, well, I don't know if this is a big opportunity. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be there if they need me when I'm on my period. So that made me think a lot. I said, no, that's not okay, right? So yeah, so answer your question. I don't think it's normal if that's something that's happening constantly. But one other note, at the same time, I also want us to understand that yes, if we need to once in a while, because we also have to respect that we may not be feeling so well, and it shouldn't be a fight for someone to explain to school, for example, oh, I have to miss school today, and it's because I'm not feeling well because of my period. It shouldn't be like they have to fight for it, or people are going to look at them, what? Because of your period? So I see it's hard to find a balance, right? So you need to respect people's symptoms, but at the same time, you don't want this to be your life.
I think actually, just that you brought that up, I think it's Finland, or maybe I'm not sure where it is actually, but they actually have time off for their period, right? They're actually able to take time off each month so that they can stay
Amazing.
home, take care of themselves and whatnot, which I
Yeah.
think would be
I saw
interesting.
a parent. I can't remember where this family was. I don't know if it was in the States, but this father, he wrote a note to the school, and it was on social media for a while because his daughter, she kept getting in trouble at school because she needed to miss school during her period, and then school they wouldn't accept that, and then
Mhm.
he went online and say that's not fair, she should be okay, she's not feeling well. And
Mhm.
so I can see that part, because of course you shouldn't just force someone to go. But I also at the same time I say, okay, but if she's feeling that unwell every single month, we need to do something about it, right? Because that's not fair to her, right, to feel like that.
If there's obvious like pain and whatnot,
Yeah,
something's just that something's feeling off, that it's not normal to have that much
yeah.
pain where you have to
Yeah,
miss.
normal, no, not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would someone do if they were in a lot of pain, if they weren't sure? Where should they go?
I think the first step would be to track their periods. We talked about this during our workshop last week. Tracking your period gives you so much info, so much power, because you can use an app on your phone. There's many apps out there, and you track your symptoms. You track when you have your period, when it starts, when it ends, symptoms you may be experiencing, emotional symptoms, physical symptoms. Track everything, and then later on, if you need to see a doctor about this, you already have that info, which is going to be great, so your doctor can talk to you about, can try to help you with that, all that info. But what I find, so tracking your periods is very important. I recommend everyone should do that. But also, try simple things first, right? We also talked about this last week. First, try simple things. Look into your, am I drinking enough water? How's my diet? Am I eating a lot of very salty or sugary food? Am I eating a lot of processed food? And sometimes I understand that sometimes for some families, they don't have much of a choice, right? That's the food that they have, that's what they have to eat. But if you have the choice, trying to eat homemade food that's not processed food, sugary food, too salty food, that can also, all those things can create more inflammation in your body, and that inflammation can then trigger more symptoms. So I would look into those things first. Water intake, not soda, not coffee, really plain water or herbal tea. Look at your diet. Look at your, am I exercising enough? Am I too stressed out that I'm not even moving my body? I spend my day in front of my desk, and I'm stressed out with everything going around. So you have to look at all those little things first. And we talked about this also last time. Just some yoga poses can be very helpful, because what happens is, let's say if the main problem is pain, what happens when we're in pain, we just tend to tense the muscles up. And that can then trigger more pain. So this is a cycle. Then you don't move. You're just kind of like this. And if you're like this, you're not even breathing properly. If you're not breathing properly, then that can also trigger more tension. It's just everything is connected. So I find look into those simple things first. Exercise, water intake, diet, sleep is also very important. And if you tried all of these things and still you, sometimes, of course, over the counter pain medication can be helpful too, right? So even if you talk to your doctor, your nurse practitioner, they may guide you if you're not sure, but that can be helpful sometimes. But let's say if you tried all of that and you're still in pain, or you have symptoms that are really bothering you, even if it's not pain, then I say the next step would be to go and talk to your physician. If your physician is not familiar with this, or if they don't know exactly what to do, they just tell you to do things that you're already doing, then maybe ask for a referral to see a gynecologist, to see someone who is who has experience working with people with painful periods, for example, or with whatever period symptoms you may be experiencing.
Yeah, and I think that's what's important, right? Is that if you do go to your doctor and he or she says, "Ah, don't worry about it, it's normal," but you really feel like, "No, this doesn't seem
Mm-hmm.
normal. I'm in pain a lot. I'm having a really hard time getting through my periods. I'm just not going to school or work." At that point, it would be a good idea to see someone who does specialize in.
Please,
Yeah.
because it takes years. Unfortunately, I wish that was not the case, but unfortunately, this is still our reality here. It takes years sometimes for people to get a proper diagnosis. Let's say if they do have something else going on, if they need, medical intervention, that meaning medication or whatever it is that's needed to help them. But yes, so that's the problem sometimes. Or even when I thought about starting, I wanted to talk to young kids about this, and then I thought, okay, but if I go and talk to them, and then they go to see their doctors, and the doctors maybe won't know what to do, then they will think, okay, what's the point, right? Why did Kellen come here and told me all these things, and now what do I go from now? So I say, hopefully you're going to get a nice support from the beginning, but if that doesn't happen, then do your own research. Find someone in your area who understands about this. Don't give up. You know your body better than anyone else, right? So
Mm.
know that this is not normal, and the answer is also not simple. Unfortunately, it's not like you go to see your doctor and they say, okay, here, this pill, and then you're going to be fine. Maybe sometimes it is, but a lot of the time it's not that normal. So it's kind of a little bit of a journey. So that's why I think the earlier you talk to someone about it, the better it will be in terms of, you finding the right answers for you.
And do you get a lot of people in your practice who actually ask that question and you come to see you because of that specifically?
I see a lot of people because of pelvic pain in general. So pain in the pelvic area, pain with sexual intercourse, or pain, difficulty inserting tampons, for example, but also painful periods. And most of them, they're coming here because they went to see their physician or a specialist, and they got the referral to come here. Because as I was saying before, from the physiotherapy point of view, what happens when you're in pain is your muscles are quite tense. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not like physiotherapy is going to fix the underlying problem there. We can't fix that, right? We just Physiotherapy is all about function and movement. It's very conservative.
Right.
But we can help people with education and just teaching them how to relax the muscles if they're holding those muscles tense, and that can help them cope with the pain or other symptoms, even digestive symptoms. Sometimes we can help them with that. So yes, I see this a lot. So that's what I do full time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really love working with these people. But it's just it makes me very sad sometimes to think that they've been dealing, because people don't come to see us because my symptoms started a month ago, Kellen. When I ask them, they say my symptoms started years ago, Kellen. And
Mm-hmm.
that's so sad, right? Because when you're going through years and years having the symptoms and you didn't even know what to do about it, so it's sometimes when people come to us, they're angry, right? They say,
Yeah.
hey, the system failed me, right? Because no one told me that this is not normal, and here I am several years after. And so when they come to us, sometimes they like look at me like, whatever, I don't know what you want to do. I don't know if this is going to help. I'm kind of,
And I think that's why it's so important to talk about this, right? To
mm-hmm.
tell people
Yeah,
that it's not normal. Like if you're in that much pain, or if you're missing school and work, if you're really, if something's happening and you don't feel comfortable, then you need to get help. You really need to advocate for yourself.
And nowadays, there's so much info online. A
Yeah.
lot of my patients, they come to me, they know more about what's going on with them than they explain to me. Kellen, I think this is it because I went online, and so usually we say, don't go online, but I'm actually thinking, no, go online, because as long as if you're okay with that, with the information you're going to find there. Nowadays, there's so much good info. Sometimes the problem is we don't know how to filter, right? The good from the not so good info. But I find most of the time with my patients just empowers them more,
Yeah.
because they come here and they say, Cal, I know I read about this and I think this is what's going on with me. Because I always ask them, what do you think's going on? And they have the info they found online. So unfortunately, that's the way it is. So hopefully you find someone who can help you right away. But if that's not the case, you have to be the one.
Yeah.
I wish it was not like this, because I know this is tiring too, right? We shouldn't have to advocate for yourself. But unfortunately, this is still the situation I find.
So my next question was, how much blood is too much, and how do you know?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. I actually went to look. There's a website called yourperiod.ca that I
Okay.
suggest everyone who wants to learn more about their periods. There's so much great info there. This is a website created by the gynecologists and obstetricians, Canadian gynecologists and obstetricians. So it's a very good website in terms of being evidence-based, right? And I actually got this information from their website because it's just so interesting. It's very hard for us to know or to measure how much blood, right? But what they say there, and I think I would agree with that. They say in the website it says, if you're bleeding for more than 7 days, if your bleeding is heavy in a way that soaks through one or more tampons or pads every hour. So let's say every hour, I wouldn't even say every couple of hours you have to go and change, because it's too much, because it's heavy with blood. And then they say also, if you need to wear more than one pad, I know people sometimes they have to wear a pad and a tampon, and they're both soaked and less than a couple of hours. I'd say maybe not for the entire length of the period, but even if it is for a couple of days, maybe that's too much. If you have to wake up during the night because you need to change your pad or your tampon because they're too full, that's also another sign that maybe you have what we call heavy menstrual bleeding. And sometimes when they will notice large clots, so just so that can be also another sign. If that's the case, I would say, if you think that your period is very, very heavy in this way that it bothers you, sometimes you have accidents even, and it just goes through your clothing, right? Even though you're wearing a pad plus a tampon, or you just changed your pad, for example. So then, and if this is happening during every cycle, then I would again consult with your doctor and see what is it, because sometimes this can even cause iron deficiency. So then this is going to impact other aspects of your life as well. So you need to check with your doctor about that.
Okay, perfect. And what would you say? So here we're talking about periods and whatnot, but if we're, as a parent, so I have a daughter who's actually turning 10. So one of the first questions, one of the questions she asked me and that we were talking about was, what are the signs of a first period, right? Because everyone, gets to be that age where you're nervous and you're thinking, oh my God, I could start anytime. What do I do? What not? What should we look for as parents for our daughters in terms of what are the signs?
The signs are there, but the thing I have to tell you, even from experience with my girl, I have a 14-year-old who doesn't have her period yet. So it's just sometimes it's not that simple. The signs are there, but we don't know, and there's no way we can know. So, but what I would say is the moment you start noticing that she's developing, breasts, for example, so that's one of the first signs of puberty. And then things are about to change. So they say it can be maybe a couple of years after that, after you notice those first signs. It's also said that maybe 1 year after you start noticing pubic hair. So it's tricky. And then they may start noticing a different discharge in their underwear as well. But even then, it can take months before you actually have your period. So
that's the hard thing, right?
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of other, these are the most kind of the easiest ones I would say for us, but then I know that it can also be even in other diet and I don't have a lot of more info there, but I know there's a lot of different aspects that can kind of say when that person's going to have their period. But even with all of that info, the truth is we don't know. We know that it's close, it's coming, but it can be months, it can be weeks, we don't know, right? It can be years, right?
Yeah. And I guess that's what's so great about, I mean, those Nick's underwear now. I mean, when I was young, I wish I'd had that, right? Because,
No.
you know, so amazing to have these products now. And I'm sure everyone watching, I'm hoping you've all heard about these products. They're underwear, right? That you would
Yeah.
wear when you have your period. You don't have to wear a pad or a tampon. You can, but you don't have to, which is perfect for young girls, right? If they're a little nervous and they're
Yeah,
wondering,
I think those are great.
start soon or whatnot. Those are really, yeah, they really are great, aren't they?
Yeah, if they're even more if they're feeling nervous, if they know it, because again, you don't know, you never know. So if you're wearing those, also you're gonna have to make sure that this is what you wear now, if that's how you make you feel comfortable, right? But yeah, so but or also what I find is having start right. So get them to bring them. My daughters, they both have this little case where they can bring to school with pad. I think it has a pad, a change of clothes, and just so they can feel like, okay, if something happens and I'm at school, I have everything I need here. So
Actually, I did that as well. My daughter, we put together a little kind of like kit for her school bag,
yeah,
right? So it has the pads
yeah,
in there and stuff, and we bought the book, and we're discussing periods and what the
yes,
changes are, and she just loved it, right? She just loved it, and it was actually a really new experience for me because when I was young, it wasn't something that you talked about, right? I'm
mm-mm,
not sure about you, Kellen, but my
mm-hmm.
mom we would never have discussed that. So when I first started my period, I was like totally like surprised. And I think a lot of people, maybe I'm one of the few, but from what I've heard, a lot of people didn't always have those talks, right? So other
No.
than a
Mm.
kit, what else can we do to help our children prepare for their
I
period?
think exactly what you were saying, right? Talking to them about it. So they know, they know it, but talking in a way that's not, scary. Just talking to them, this is something that happens, like the books that you were mentioning, sometimes if you're not so comfortable just starting the conversation, use a book and talk to them about that. I found this great book called the Everybody Book. And it's actually a book that's about sexuality and menstrual health and sexual health for kids, and it's gender inclusive, and it's just such a great book. I can send you the name. I was reading them with my youngest, reading the book, sorry, with my youngest, and it was very interesting. I was also, I just found it was with nice images, nice pictures, right? So just very cool. So yes, start talk to them. Don't make them feel like they cannot talk about this. And I know maybe sometimes that's not easy, so that's why using the book can be a nice way. But also having that kid like you did with your daughter, just it makes them feel so much more comfortable. I have this. Okay, something happens, even if it feels awkward. What I would suggest you do also is at home, uh, open a pad in front of them. I had my daughter, my 9-year-old, the other day trying a pad on, and she said, "Oh,
Yeah.
mommy, this so feels so awkward." But anyway, we were trying, making it that this is it. It's simple. You just do this. You put those rings around your underwear, and then we're just talking about it. Make it a normal conversation, right?
And I think that's what's important, right? Is to normalize it
Mm-hmm.
and not just my daughter, but I have to say, even for my boys, like just talking
Mm-hmm.
about it,
Oh
being
yes.
open and being really open about it, normalizing it, because it really shouldn't be a taboo topic, right? It
Mm-mm.
shouldn't be something that we're afraid to discuss. We should be able to go to our employer or to our school or to our teachers and say, hey, I'm really not feeling well, or hey, I
Mm-hmm.
just started my period, I need help, or whatever it is. We need to kind of normalize, talking about our periods and about pelvic health in general.
Yeah, we're learning about it, right? We still hide our tampons or pads, right? If we
We
need to
do,
go,
yeah, we do.
right? It's just
Yeah.
anyway, and so that's it. I think, yeah, I think that would help them. I hope that that's helping my kids, and just talking about it, so it's and they, it would be nice if they can know that they can ask us any question. Then there's no silly question, you know. And if we don't know, it's completely okay for us not to know the answer. But then again, the internet's so great. You can just go, let's check this. Let's see what we can find, and then and learn together. Right? This other book is I showed you this one called
nice.
Below Your Belt. This one I read with my oldest, and I need to read with my youngest. It's a cute book. It talks
I have a
about,
few as well. I'll have to share them too.
yeah. So
I'll
maybe,
type them in the comments, and when you
yeah,
send me the other one, I'll type that one in there too for
yeah.
people. Below
I'll
Your
send you that
Belt.
other one
That's
too.
amazing. Yeah. The ones I read with my daughter were about body image. I forget the
Yeah,
names.
that's great. The last one I read, I think it was very nice because it was gender inclusive. So I really liked the language, and that's what I was missing in most of the books I read earlier. So this one says a pelvic health handbook for girls. Yes, that's great because it is for a lot of girls for sure. But we also need to remember that there's some kids out there who they still have their periods, but they don't identify as being a girl. So maybe they may look at this book and say, this book is not for me,
Yeah.
right? So, and that's a shame because they should be able to have access to that info too, right? So.
For sure, for sure. So what I'll do is I'll make sure to add some of those books as we go along in the comments. And if anyone has any questions, you can still write them down, and we can get information from Quelen or help steer you really in where to find whatever information you're looking for. So Quelen, I just wanted to thank you for joining us this morning. This was amazing. And I look forward to our discussion next week when we talk about menopause and pelvic health.
Yes.
I think really looking forward to that one because that's another taboo topic.
Me too. Yeah.
We really need to talk about. So I wanted to thank all of our viewers out there, and don't forget that we have another chat tomorrow morning as well. So every Monday and Tuesday we have our chats at 9 a.m. and tomorrow is Michelle who will be chatting with Erica Wimet about collective kitchens in Neponiak. So a huge thanks to everyone. A huge thanks to you, Quelen. We'll have to talk about
Thank you.
I think we need to really normalize this and make it a thing on Facebook so that they realize that we should be using these terms.
Yes. Bye.
Everyone, thanks so much.